Thank you. Thank you for having me in Iceland. I had the opportunity to spend some windy and rainy days on your beautiful island. I visit several places and I love it. I don't know how it is in the sun. It's my second time in Iceland and all the times it rains a lot. So what I remember from Iceland, it's very friendly, it's very rainy, it's very windy, and it's marvelous. So let's start that way. I will talk a little about hope, not an esoteric thing about hope, but what hope can do for people who live in trauma. And I will explain why I will do this. My background is that I work more than 33 years in the field of domestic violence, gender-based violence, having started a shelter myself. In a time there was no funding, so I know everything of the root-based organizations until the position I can take now after 33 years. At this moment, I run, together with my colleagues, of course, the Family Justice Center of Antwerp. We were one of the first ones in Europe. And we started like 12 years ago. We are now not small anymore, quite big. I work for a quite big region. We have 1.1 million inhabitants. And we are in Antwerp, a city with a port, which gives us also a lot of things to do on trafficking and criminality and drug abuse and so on. And also a lot of documented people. So we have that, to take that also in account. And that's also important if we want to work about hope with people who don't have much chances in their lives. So what I want to talk about is looking at people with how trauma experiences, and as we all know, people with gender-based violence, domestic violence, often live a very long time in a situation of repeated trauma. Often they have a backpack already from their youth, sometimes not, sometimes they do, and that counts both for victims and for perpetrators. Tomorrow we will talk also in the work with perpetrators, and that's as important also when we look towards perspective and hope. And what we see is that people with high trauma have a lot of more difficulties than other people to cope in their lives, to cope with everything that comes on their pathways, the difficulties they have. And they have often more difficulties trusting others, because people in domestic violence, gender-based violence situation often reached out, did do a lot of things to stop the violence and didn't succeed, didn't find the help. They tried to bring out what was happening and found no real help, nothing changed. So trust is often low. The perception of danger is everywhere. That's because you live, when you have high trauma experiences, you live very high in this perception of danger everywhere. You have no control over your own life or life domains. And that's a very important issue in this. So when we want to work, when at the Family Justice Center, in the beginning we didn't work with the theory of hope. And a lot of my colleagues came and said, Pascale, I've seen this woman and these children and they have no hope. And you know, what do you think is the opposite of hope? What would you think? The opposite? Please?
Hopelessness.
Yes, it's hopelessness. Despair isn't yet. It's hopeless. It's apathy. It's not expecting anything anymore. And we will look into that. Despair, there is still something. You are in despair, but there is still some energy left. A lot of people who are living in a long-term situation of violence lost this hope and they have this apathy. So my colleagues asked me, Pascale, I don't know how to reach this woman. She doesn't want anything anymore, or sometimes also children. So we dove into what can help us, and our American colleagues started to work with the theory and tools of hope. And one of the big leading persons there is Chan Hellman. Chan Hellman is a professor at the University of Oklahoma, a professor in positive psychology, and he really worked out how to work with hope for persons in big traumas, also for the USA Family Justice Centers. So Bert and I, we went in training at Chan's, and now we are we train a lot, isn't it, Bert, on hope-centered approaches. Now, of course, the first question is, what is hope? Hope is not some esoteric thing. Hope is action. Hope is a belief that your future will be better than today and you have the power to make it so. And there it starts. How are we giving people back control over their own lives? Often when people start to work with clients, victims, children, also perpetrators, they start with a problem. You have a problem and we have to solve the problem. It's often reducing the people to the problems they have. But instead of working with the problems, we can also work with strengths. What is your own goal? Where is your strength? And sometimes the goal or the strength is very small, but bringing people to let them flourish again their strength gives a lot of more steps forward than only looking for the problem. So instead of asking what's wrong with you, you should ask what happened to you and where is your strength and where can we help you to let this strength grow. How can we help you to have control back over your own lives? Because that is what really matters for people. So hope is a very simple theory. It's about goals, it's about pathways, and it's about willpower. And I would like to explain a whole afternoon and give examples. I don't, Hildur, don't let me do that, so I will go very quickly into it. But if you are interested, I'm very happy also afterwards online to have some kind of workshop or whatever. So feel free afterwards if you want to know more. What are the goals? Goals are the things where we come out of bed for, the things we want in our lives. And sometimes it can be big goals. I want to achieve a diploma. I want to make this travel around the world. Sometimes it's very small things. When we work with people, they say, I want to have a good meal on the table this evening. And it sounds very simple, but when you have a lot of trouble at home, and then the meaning of having a good meal is having a meal without trouble, without my children being afraid, having rest at home. Sometimes that's the goal. And it's important to look at goals that are relevant for people. What professionals often do, and certainly when justice is involved, is decide what are your goals. You have a drug addiction, first you cope with your drug addiction and then we will see further. But, you know, it's difficult to catch up with goals other persons tell you. You try for your own goals, so look with people what drives you. And sometimes we have women and they say, oh, I didn't have my hair done for years. And that's a small step, but it's something to look at together. The second thing is the pathways, and that's the ability to find the way to your goals, know how to reach your goals. And the third thing, very important, is willpower. That is your energy, your mental energy to have motivation to pursue your goals. And sometimes it can be very easy, going to the hairdresser for your hair. But when you want to have a peaceful home, you have to have often to make many steps and to have a long-term mental energy. And then it's good to look at quick wins. How can we make your pathway into smaller steps, quick wins? How can we do that together? Now, if we look at hope in this, you need both. To reach your goal, you need the willpower, knowing your mental energy, and you need your willpower. And they affect each other. If you have those small steps, your willpower will grow. Chen tells us, and I see it in practice, hope begets hope. Every time you achieve small things, you are growing in yourself. You are empowering yourself. That's the true meaning of empowerment. If you don't have the willpower, you can have willpower, but without the pathway, it's a wish. We can all wish that tomorrow the sun will shine here in Iceland and that we all can go out and swim. That's a good wish, but it's still a wish. It's about action. It's about having both the willpower and the way power. Now, hope is important on many levels. It's important for your mental health. Hopeful people thrive better, have much more resilience. Hope is far more than resilience. Resilience is a part of hope. It's good for your physical health. People who can reach their goal, who feel empowered. It reflects, Edda told just about the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. We see the impact also of ACEs on our physical things, physical elements, but it's important also for physical health. It's also important for social, your social situation. If you are depressed and you have no hope, people don't like to sit with you. We don't like to sit all day with people who are depressed. People get out of you, but also you don't have the courage anymore to reach out to people, so people get enormously social isolated. And also for education, people need to learn every day again. That is what hope also builds us. But when you are depressed and when you are let alone, you won't learn very much. So trauma and adversity influence hope, and that's a very important thing. And the first thing where trauma and adversity influences us in our hope is in the nature of our goals. When we work with people with high trauma impact or living in concrete stress and crisis situations, we see that they will often have goals to avoid things. People with high hope will try for things. Oh, I want to get a job, I want to have a nice weekend with my family, things to achieve. People who are surviving in a crisis will avoid things. Avoid children being taken away. Avoid that there is trouble again, that there is violence again, that a prosecutor is coming at your home, whatever. Avoid to have more adversity. And what we also see is that people who live in a concrete situation of stress, trauma, have very short-term goals. How do I survive today? Not the long-term goals anymore, but most professionals start from long-term, the housing and your education and the development of your children and so on. So you don't speak the same languages when you're surviving and looking on how to survive tomorrow, how to have meal on the table, how not to have a fight this evening anymore. The long-term goals of professionals just don't fit. Another way is thinking in pathways. I hope people can overthink troubles on the pathways. I want to achieve, I want to get a diploma, but I have to learn that, and they know pathways, and they often can think on several pathways, plan A, plan B. What we see is that people with very low hope because of the situation they are living in don't think in several pathways. They have one pathway, and when they have a barrier, when there is a problem, they stop. They just sit down and do nothing anymore. Professionals don't always understand that. They say they are not motivated. They don't understand what's happening here with the mental energy. And there we have the third thing. Our willpower is limited. When you have to have enough energy to survive with your children, to make it safe every day at home, it's quite more difficult to have also the energy to achieve all the things professionals want from you, to achieve the home and the good education and whatever. So it's limited. All our energy is limited. And when we have to spend a lot in surviving, there is not much to have all those long-term goals. So that's also very important. Now, losing hope is a process. And we see it, for example, with people, asylum seekers, who live everything and give their last money to come, in our case, to Belgium. And then they come to Belgium, they are high hope at that moment. They are hoping to have a better life for them and for the people staying at home. And then they come in Belgium and they see it's not that easy. Belgium is quite difficult. It's something different than they heard in their country where they came from. It's not the land of milk and honey as they thought it would be. So they see the goal of being, in our case in Belgium, gets a little... then people get angry. Oh, why doesn't it succeed for me? And when they see that their pathways are really cut down, they go to despair. They have still the willpower to be there, but they don't see any pathway anymore. That's when we see despair. And the further step is that you just lose all trust and you sit down and you say, it's not working for me anymore. I don't do anything anymore. So, and that's what we also see with victims of trauma. We see it with children, we see it with adults. And Dr. Filetti, the doctor from the ACEs, also knows this very well, that working with the signs of hope really will really meet the needs of people who are in this distress, that we really have to implement it. Now, the good thing is that hope can be taught, and that's what we also do at the Family Justice Center. As we have a process down, you can also nurture hope. And it's about sitting down and together and looking at goals. What is a relevant goal for you? What do you want? And making it happen, looking together to pathways. So what do you need from us? Where can we help you to achieve your goals? And what do you need to feed your energy? We talk about hope heroes. Hope heroes are, for example, peer group support, professionals who know pathways, voices, people who've been through the same things and can be a role model. Hope heroes are so important. So building a community of hope givers, of hope heroes around people in big trauma is a very important thing in our Family Justice Center. We didn't start with it, we did with coordinating all the professional work, but we saw that this building of community, hope givers going together, giving control back over your own life. As professionals, we don't have to solve everything. We have to help people to solve their problems themselves and to look at those strengths. So to bring it together, what we do is introduce hope with people where we work and think about, what are your goals? What would be important? And sometimes women could say, oh, I dream of a small apartment for me and my children. And this visualization is very important. So we will also make the picture. To reach goals, you have to have the ability to imagine it, and you can help people with that. Visualization is very important. And I often tell to people, stick it to your refrigerator and to your screen. So you remember, sometimes you lose some hope, but then you remember again, okay, that's where I'm going for. Looking for pathways, but also having identified what are sources of motivation. Sources of motivation can be found in many places, but help people to look at sources of motivation. When it's a little difficult, who can help you? What helps you? Problem solving, of course, and sometimes people come up with goals that aren't reachable. Then there is always a possibility to re-goal. And let me talk about asylum seekers who cannot stay in Belgium. What do we do? Say, okay, they are lost? No, we can look at other things. Perhaps there are possibilities, and there are role models who went back to their own country in a safer environment and with help from Belgium to build up your own business, for example, that kind of thing. So looking to possibilities is also very important. To finish, we have a small movie. We made it about the hope thing. So I try if it will work, and I look a little to...
Yeah. Do you need help?
Yeah, I think so.
Matthias, can you help?
Yeah, I cannot. Yeah, but I don't succeed. It's a 4 minute movie on the hope. Otherwise, I can do it differently.
I have it like this.
We can go online. Okay. Yeah.
Hope is the belief that your future will be better than today, and you have the power to make it so. With this video, we want to help you achieve the future you desire. You will learn some key insights from researching positive psychology, which will help you overcome obstacles and become happier. Professor Chan Hellman emphasizes that hope is not a wish. Hope is about taking action to pursue your goals. Change starts with understanding how things are happening in your life right now and imagining what life could be like. Chan Hellman developed a measurement tool based on psychologist Charles Rick Snyder's theory that hope consists of 3 elements: goals, the pathways to the goals, and the will to achieve them. Snyder found that hopeful people find many ways to achieve their goals because they are not deterred by difficulties and anticipate overcoming obstacles. Hopeful people have high levels of agency, so they persevere and maintain their motivation to achieve their goals. They know how to feed their energy and come up with plans and possibilities to overcome problems and obstacles. The loss of hope is a process. When someone cannot achieve a goal, it can lead to fear or anger. The next step is becoming desperate, unable to find a way to reach their goal, and finally they become completely apathetic. Fortunately, hope is a cognitive process, so you can learn it by taking these steps. What is a goal you choose to work on? A goal must be specific. Put a deadline on it. Make sure it's a goal that you care about, instead of someone imposing your goal on you. Create pathways to your goals. Write down the pathways. Think about possible barriers to reach your goal and devise pathways to overcome those obstacles. Maybe your first goal is too ambitious and you need to redirect to more achievable goals. Imagine how you would feel if you reached your goal. It is important to be aware of the impact of trauma on hope. People with low hope often experience trauma. As a result, they have less hope. Their goals are more likely to avoid than to achieve something. They are more often oriented towards short-term goals, and they have a hard time thinking about different pathways. Sometimes it's better to start with small goals. Achieving a goal empowers the willpower to pursue. Hope presupposes that you yourself have the strength to achieve your goal, so it requires action. Hope heroes can help you achieve your goal. They can help you on your way. What is the goal you want to achieve today? Do you already have an idea how you can achieve your goal, and how do you feel about it?
So, yeah, it's okay for the, I don't need a PowerPoint, okay. So we work with hope, also with children. For example, I will tell you tomorrow a little bit more of it, but with children, also smaller children, we work in the hope theory at the circus school in Antwerp. They got involved, and by circus techniques, we can also work on hope. With people you can talk with, you do it that way, but there are several methods to really empower hope. So I hope to inspire you a little on this, and I'm just in my time, I think. Isn't it, Hilda?
Yes.
Is there a quick question for Pascale? Is there a quick question? No, there is not.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Pascale.
Please.
And